Devi?
Yes, ma'am. Shall I start now, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good morning to respected Professor Dr. Kondaya sir, our beloved principal, Professor Dr. Gauri Ramesh, faculty members of Chennai Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Pudupakam, and dear participants. A good education can change anyone. A good teacher can change everything. With this magical note, let me commence the session now. I am Devi. It is my pleasure to be a moderator of 7th Day Faculty Development Program. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Our principal is the best example for this quote. I am pleased to invite our dear principal, Professor Dr. Gauri Ramesh, to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Devi. A very good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present here at the first session of the 7th and final day of the FDP program. On behalf of the Directorate of Legal Studies and Chennai Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Pudupakam, I deem it a great privilege to welcome a resource person for today, respected Dr. J. Kondaya, Professor and Dean, Maharashtra Law University, Aurangabad, Maharashtra. My acquaintance with Sir dates back to more than 20 years when Sir was in Department of Legal Studies, Madras University, as a research scholar of my mentor, Professor Dr. Balu Sir. I fondly remember those days when I had taken our students team to the moot competitions held at the Department of Legal Studies, and Sir used to help us out in those moot activities very, very sincerely. Sir was a hard-working person, and he bagged all the gold medals awarded in that department, and a consequence of which he was fondly referred to as Gold Medal Kondaya. Sir, I, as an alumnus of that department, feel extremely proud about your steady growth in the field of legal education. Sir, I take this opportunity to wholeheartedly thank you for kindly accepting our invite and thereby enriching all of us with your wonderful lecture. Sir's topic for today is digital markets, platform, and products in the light of COVID-19. With these few words, I welcome you once again, sir. Thank you, and over to you, Devi.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that wonderful welcome address. Great pride and honor, I take the privilege in welcoming our chief guest, respected Speaker of the session, respected Professor Dr. Kondaya. Sir is the Dean, Professor of Law, Maharashtra National Law University, Aurangabad. From being a law graduate to Dean of the prestigious institution, Sir has traveled a long distance and definitely an inspiration to many of us. Sir has more than 20 years of teaching and research experience. Sir has joined as an assistant professor of law at National Law Institute, University, Bhopal. Later, Sir has joined as an associate professor of law at National Law University, Odisha. Sir has adorned several important positions in National Law University, Odisha, that includes Director of Distance Education, Swayam Coordinator, Convener of PG Studies, UG Studies, and Research Development Committee. And Sir is also a member of Academic Council. And apart from that, Sir is a recipient of various academic honors and recognition that includes L.C. Miller Medal in 2002, the Dr. A.L. Mudaliar Prize 2002, Justice M.N. Rao Prize during the year 2002, and Best Student Award in ML, that is also in the year 2002. In addition to this, he was also the gold medalist in his Master of Law from the University of Madras. He has been the visiting faculty for many leading universities across the nation, that includes Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar, RMNLU, Lucknow, KIT, Odisha, and the Institute of Company Secretaries Institute, Chennai. Presently, Sir is a member of National Indian Competition Experts Patel Working Group, Competition Commission of India. On the academic side, Sir has authored many more books. In 2009, he published his first book on law relating to NRA marriages, and in 2005, he published another book known as Securities Laws. His area of interest includes private international law, corporate law, securities law, international law, and competition law. We are very grateful for his presence among us today. And without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Sir to deliver his lecture on digital markets, platforms, and products in the light of COVID-19. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon to all. Respected Professor Gauri Madam, Principal, Ambedkar Law College, generally used to call Madras Law College, one of the oldest law colleges in India, and the co-convener and Dr. Shyam, as well as the other members who are Devi, Jiva, Ramya, Ishwari, and all other members who are working hard that the oldest institution in the world, or may can say in India, is competing with the latest technology. That is the advantage of this FDP program. And I feel privileged to be part of this program because I also being the product of the, I can say Madras University, because I learned a lot of things from the state of Tamil Nadu, then moved to the various places. And I owe a lot to the state where I have learned my education, which is very free to everyone in the India, because the availability of the education facilities in Madras, state of Madras, is a role model to others also. And with this brief note, I will start sharing my presentation. I will be discussing and interacting and on the topic which I have chosen for that today, one of the very important topic in the contemporary relevance. I think my voice is very clear.
Yes, sir.
Hope the slide is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
As and when if there is a break of my voice, please let me know.
Yes, sir.
There
Sure.
is-
See, the topic which I have chosen is the digital markets, platforms and products. I have just added as a COVID-19 one of the developmental area. Otherwise, my main area of the thrust for the young academicians who are participating in this FDP program to learn the new emerging trends of legal education. The theme of the today presentation is what are the emerging areas of the law. So I studied international law and private international law. I was also a company secretary student, then being interested in corporate law, then securities laws. And over a point of time, there is a change when we are looking about the different laws which are emerging, and a need comes to an academician, we can say academic researcher, to go to the academia, read, write, publish, and get a comment. So we are supposed to be a very inspiring teacher, as told by the Director of Legal Studies during the inaugural sessions. So now come to the other one. Here I just want to underline one thing. From agriculture to artificial intelligence, we are living in an area that is based upon technology. Whatever the name you can call, it is a agriculture to artificial intelligence, which are merged with the technology-based products, and there are no physical borders. There are products, and the government of India is promoting the innovation to start the corporations, because till 11th June, that is what the 11th June before, after 11th June 2021, Government of India issued the circular by the ministry up to 15 lakh rupees. If you want to have a capital, authorized capital, you don't require to pay any fee. You can go for automatic registration of the company without paying of the fee. That is a today's technology of, you can say, the digital world. They've opened up a company, initially you have to pay some fee. Now, if you are starting a business up to 15 lakh rupees, you are creating a capital, you don't require any money to pay as a fee to the Government of India, that is the stamp duty. It started just, you can say, 10 days back, implemented in the 4 states, and Delhi, Bangalore, and another 2 more states. So the policy of the Government of India is that to improve the technology, to improve the innovations. So this is what comes into the first slide. And there is one law which talks not only the regulations. I have taken here the competition law, and some places, some countries, we call this as antitrust legislations. Here, one of the object of the legislation is very interesting to know. It is not, generally people will say competition law comes as a prohibited. No. The first object is economic development of the country and promotion of the competition in the market and free trade. So these are the very peculiar legislations which came in the after the era of 2002 and 2009, and CCI has completed its 10 years of celebrations. Now they are moving to the 11th year. So there is a development in the regulatory body which has taken the object of development of the economy of a country. So as a students of law, so now they have given to one of the regulatory body how the economic development has to be done by promoting the competition, by promoting of the free trade. So these are the object of the legislation. Now we have more than 130 countries having the similar text of law. So now here my point is that legislation has delegated some of the obligations of the constitutional law to quasi-judicial or judicial institutions for the development of the country rather than restrictions and the prohibitions. So this every law teacher has to remember. Otherwise, the way which we look at subject comes to us, okay, there is a law which is going to prohibit. No, it is other way around. The purpose of the institution is the promotion of the economic development. And there's a lot of funding on this, on the aspects of these areas. Now I will try to identify some of the issues in this project or in this lecture, which is going to identify what are the electronic platforms. Every one of us is aware today the name of this act, Farmers Produce and Trade and Commerce Promotion Facilitation Act. Here one thing is very important to understand. The Government of India has introduced electronic trading to the farmers, even while existence of Agricultural Product Market Commission. The protest is going on one side, but now this, which came as an ordinance, which came as later act, it is promoting, one is called interstate, intrastate commerce. If there is a farmer who is accessible to the what's called the smartphone accesses, they want to remove the intermediaries. They are taking alternative trading channels by using of the legislations. But still there are problems because the farmer has no or the majority of the farmers in India struggling to have the food. But you are saying other side, the farmer has to be electronically savvy. This also government has to establish an ecosystem where the farmers can be acquainted with the technology. That is an object of the legislation in order to remove the intermediaries. And they also define what is electronic trading and transaction platform. I will come to the further slides. What are the term transaction platforms? It is basically says direct online buying and selling for conduct of the trade for the farmers produce through a network electronic device. This also poses a question to all of us, whether mobile can be called as an electronic device, whether Tata Walkie can be called as an electronic device. Electronic device is again defined in some other laws, where there is something called the magnetic chips. So what you can call as an electronic device, this also they talk, but the basic purpose is that the present legislation is promoting the electronic trading. The present legislation is promoting the digital markets. It is one of the primary sector of India, that is an agricultural sector. So now the policy of the state is that agricultural sector should move with the technology. That is an object of the legislation, and there are issues on that. The things are coming. And here I just want to make one more thing, what is called as farmers produce. Here they have written a lot of farmer produces, what it means. Here I just want to refer one of the legislations. Companies Act 2013, the people who are commercial law can appreciate, talks about the producer companies. So they have already incorporated in Companies Act what is meant by producer company. So farmers produces also comes into the producer company. There are a lot of subsidies are given to them, and there are a lot of other things have given. When we're talking about agriculture, agriculture is not just only the production of the grains. As for the state-wise is concerned, in some of the state, agriculture has been divided into the 5 departments, like horticulture, fishiculture, then other types of the things. So therefore, there is the development of the how farmer has to cope up with the new technology, which is one of the contemporary issues before the legal academia, which is going to come as an young academicians. You have to carry forward this law. In the law schools or any of the law universities or wherever the legal education is imported, we have not included the agricultural law as the part of the course curriculum. But now we are recommending agricultural law should be the part of the course curriculum, because agricultural law has been one of the neglected area. Mostly agriculture means people only look into the Land Revenue Act. No, it is not so. But apart from the Land Revenue Act, you are having so many agricultural beneficiaries like FSSI, food security. Then you talk about other than food securities laws, dairy products. We all purchase the dairy products, Amul, etc. and all. And there is a tinned milk. I can purchase a milk. I can store for, say, for example, 6 months. These are all laws which are regulated. But this is one of the area I request all the participants who are listening, who are participating, think over these areas for the future research. Now, second thing which I have taken is with regard on the lines of the introductory remarks was given by the Professor V. Vijay Kumar's Vice Chancellor NLI Bhopal, where he talked about the new education policy during inaugural session. And he also referred that the legal education also is the part of the new education policy by referring of these certain paragraphs. As the learners, or we can call as the teachers, now by 2030, we are all supposed to be part of this infrastructure. So this is a new thing which has to come to our life. We all should be part of national digital infrastructure. In this area, some of you can say, what is this national digital infrastructure? There is a lot of open source material accessible to everybody. There is already a courses on Swayam Prabha, Swayam. That the purpose is that anywhere, anytime, any person can learn the subject of expert. So therefore, the government of India has instructed all the educational institutions for 1600 rupees, you can keep one tower, then you are getting 16 channels. The students and teachers can learn their subject of interest, because after completion of our PG and PhD, we stop our educations. For example, if anybody heard about the European Union Erasmus program, in the Erasmus Plus program, I'm writing here, Erasmus Plus program says there is no age limit. There is one program which called Life Learning Skills. A person of 18 years, a person of 60 years can study the same course. Age and completion of degrees is not a restriction to update their knowledge. So this is one of the challenges before all of us, and we all to equip to be part of 2030 on the new education policy. How the Diksha is going to come into the picture. Diksha stands for digital infrastructure, where you will get a lot of open source materials. You can develop your courses and you can introduce your own specialized areas. So this is one of the policy which comes as a digital market. Now, Diksha, I'm just referring here, MHRD, class resources, teaching training content, assessment aids, teacher profiles, as well as news and announcement and teacher community. So there are people who are working to make use of innovative and techno-based solutions. The best example, what we are today, we are in Zoom. So in the Zoom, we are aware. Somebody might have heard there are geo classes. If somebody knows who is the owner of geo classes, it is very interesting. Last year, in the month of March, Facebook subsidiary by the name called Jadoo acquired the shares. It is called Jadoo, Jadhu, acquired shares in Jio company, and Jio started Jio Classroom. This was cleared by the Competition Commission of India. In March 2020, a foreign company was established in the state of Delaware, the United States of America. The subsidiary of the Facebook acquired the shares in the Jio company, and Jio started the Jio Classes Jio platform. As when we look at the Jio, it comes to us a Jio family or Reliance family. But when you look into the actual facts of the case, the actual things on the case, who is the real owner? That is, it is the Facebook. We are already part of the social media. Now, without our knowledge, we are being jumped into the Jio platforms. Now it is creating the new ventures and new thoughts. And we say that I take the Jio class, I will go to the Zoom class, or I will go to the Baiju app, or I will go to the other technological things. So, and now they are forcing the children, not even the forcing, they are asking the parents coding and decoding of the classes. One of the sad point of this is that the the children below the age of 5 years, they have forgotten how to do handwriting. Because technology can be only helpful with the other tools. So this is one of the area in the digital economy and the digital product. Now I am taking the one of the report of the digital economy report, United Nations, which talks what are the digital platforms means. It is the two or more groups, they position themselves intermediaries, customers and advisors, producers, suppliers, even in the physical objects. Now, they also talked about certain platforms, which were very much advanced, very close to all of these things. One is called advertising platform. As we know that Google is and Facebook. Here I want to tell one thing about our subject. Some of the students, some of the participants can appreciate. There is a subject in law that is called crowdfunding, otherwise called angel funding. We know angel investors. Crowdfunding is mostly done in the Facebook. You don't require to inform how you bring your money. If you are starting your venture, you advertise through Facebook, you can raise the capital that is permitted in the crowdfunding because we don't have any regulations in the crowdfunding. Whereas in the United Kingdom, we have the legislations, but India has no control on that. How these Facebook and Google, now some of us are the part of the Google Pay. So what should be an agreement between the Google Pay and a person? So they are advertising platforms. And particularly in the COVID-19, they say there is no touch of the currency note. Better to move on to the electronic transfers. Then the government of India has said, you can have the Beam, or you can have the Airtel money, or you can have so many other users, Paytm, etc. There was PayPal and Paytm, but still they say that don't use your exact currency. So what makes all of us today to keep at least 3 to 4 passwords in our mobile phone. The moment when we are connected to the internet, without our knowledge, the apps will take the burning of the data. So I will be putting in the last of my presentation where the dispute is happening between the applications. Now we have the cloud platforms. Everyone is the part of this, Amazon. We cannot say nobody knows Amazon today. Though Alibaba was the first company in this cloud platforms from China, Alibaba is one of the biggest company as a revenue wise. As far as numbers of persons is concerned, Amazon is. This was a dispute 3 years back when the CLAT exam was conducted, whether Amazon or Alibaba. So there was one of the question was given, which is the largest company in the e-platform. Some students have said Amazon, some have given Alibaba, and that dispute went up to the court also. There are industrial platforms. Here, this is very important today nowadays. Under the public procurement system, everyone has to go for the government e-marketing. You can call the different names for purchasing of the certain products by the public sector undertakings. Then you have the product platforms. Then you are having the lean platforms, which we call as Uber and Airbnb and TaskRabbit. These are the, what we can say, I can simply tell you how the Ola and Uber works. Because what happens, the agreement is with the companies of the manufacturer of the car. The manufacturer of the car will provide, say for example, 1,000 cars in a particular city. The driver has to pay a minimum amount of 50,000 rupees or 70,000 rupees. He runs for the rides. Rides are provided by the technology. And thereafter, after 5 to 6 years, when the driver pays back to all his money to the company, then automatically the driver becomes the owner of the car. There are 3 parties involved here. One is the technology supporter. That is what we call application-based model business. Second one is the manufacturer. Third one is who is the owner of the car. And fourth comes to the consumer. So the application makes all of us, either you can call Ola or Uber, they send it to the drivers. If the driver is not interested, he can switch off his mobile or deactivate his application. He can run the rides on his own, but he has to activate on that. There is an agreement, and these agreements are not covered in the traditional contractual laws. That is why the new emerging area is coming right now. The contract drafting in the new innovative areas. The contract drafting in the new innovation areas will come into the picture based upon the what we call BMT test. That's called business management test. There is no book here which says that how to do a business. It is the businessman and the business community to think over the new ventures, how to do a business. Because we don't find any book in the market, except recently SEBI and NISM introduced how to manage your pocket money. Now they are introducing the how to manage your pocket money in the +1 and +2 syllabus, like the environment, like the traffic rules. Though we know how to manage the money, majority of us may not be well acquainted how to manage the pocket money. So there is a need for the legal community to look into this contract drafting, which is driven by the business community, which is driven by the investors rather than the consumers. One side you have a consumer, one side you have the other persons. Then we have the online platforms, labor platforms. Then you have the capital platforms. As I have told you, capital means you already knows. The best example is that everybody knows OLX. Nobody can say, sir, we don't know what is meant by OLX. So OLX is everybody is aware how to sell your old goods or how to purchase goods which are very cheaper in the neighboring your areas. So they provide certain platforms. This is what we call as the platforms. And now in the Corona time, and we are all very much interested in the Netflix. So this is called transaction platform. It is a facilitating between the users. Then you have the Microsoft, Google, and the SoftBank companies, which are talking about the platform for investor in both. It is not only the Netflix. Now we have the G5, we have the Airtel, we are having the Jio, we are having the Amazon Prime. They are giving 400 rupees subscription. You have the 3 to 4 multiple subscriptions. But law is silent on this, on different areas of the subject. Because when there was a movie 3 months back, the name of the movie was Bad Boy Billionaires, about the basic, a very great scams of India on Ramalinga Raju, Vijay Malavya, Lalit Modi, and Arshad Mehta scams. Arshad Mehta scam is now coming as a movie. It's called as a Big Bull, acted by Abhishek Bachchan. So now this went to the Supreme Court. You cannot release on the Netflix. But now because of the malls are closed, screens are closed, theaters are closed, then the other alternative forum is what we call it as OTT platforms in a common language, but in the legal language, we call it as transaction platforms. So there is a difference between OTT platform as well as the difference between what is called as a Netflix platform. Because as all people knows, belonging to the South India, when this Vishwarupa movie came by the Sri Kamal Haasan, he wants to release the movie on the same day on the online platform. So there was some case in Madras High Court and the judgment was either of the sides, but now what is happening? The productions and revenues, and it is forcing to all of, not only forcing, it makes us necessity to be part of this technological driven society. None of us have a chance to leave this technology, live in a world where there is a technology free world. That just I want to put it different platforms. And here I also taken one of the report from the European Union, and there are general search engines are there. And every one of you may be aware about the trip advisors. When you want to book a hotel room, when you want to book another ones, there is a trip advisor which provides. And now there is a lot of controversy going on in India on Twitter and the Facebook, as well as everybody knows what happened yesterday also. The Karnataka High Court has told not to be very stringent on the MD of the Twitter, and Twitter is whether it can be done or as a right to privacy, freedom of speech and expression article 19.1, as well as how to regulate these international, what we can call digital media. So the moment when you put it on that internet, or you can say electronic media or any audio visual platforms, so you are having, nobody has a control. So once it comes on that, so you need some regulatory body. That is why we have seen last 10-15 days, the government of India through the ministries has given notifications. No, it has to be stopped. So this is one of the contemporary area for every law students. I consider every one of as a law student, because we learn every day in the new different what we can call questions posed by the sectors, different developments which are driven by the society, which are very fundamental needs. So this is one of the opinion where they talk about European Union. Now here, number 3, I will again recapitulate. So I started talking with the first agriculture sector. Then I have come with the national education policy. Then moving on that digital platforms. Now I want to bring one more legislation which came during the pandemic. It is very interesting. And this also again now questioned about the appointment of the one of the member in commission in Bombay High Court. Now the government of India in the month of June 2020, they have again introduced something called marketplace for sale of the e-commerce entity. So when we take about e-commerce entity and digital and electronic platform, so they again talk here digital products. This is one of the title which I have given in my subject. And somebody may ask, maybe later point of the time. So there is a person who came to teach. I use it in my title digital products. Now suddenly you may ask, or anybody can ask me, sir, how do you substantiate your terminology of digital products? So the substantiation which I am giving is that digital products have been used by the legislation under the consumer e-commerce regulations, which came in the last year. Now we have the multi-channel brand retailers, and they want to stop unfair trade practices, and they want to promote the different platforms for the under the Consumer Act. Now there is one of the digital cartels were there. This I will ask the organizers to share with you in the later part. That is called digital screen-based cartel systems. This is a little bit of the computational law which are coming here. But the purpose of this is that the government is promoting, or the economy is making the development of computation which should be the fair and enough. And there is one of the case law which has given in the new terminology for the lawyers, for the people what we are talking. Here we are talking the case on Uber Technologies case. And it is talks about the two business models. As I told you, application business model and asset-based business model. It has also brought to the legal community a new terminology that is called about the hub and spoke arrangement. So the hub and spoke arrangements called as the popularly sharing of the big data through algorithms. So they say that now the legal community is being asked to draft these arrangements. And under the computation law, memorandum of understanding also can be called as agreement. So I'm referring to the Contract Act of 1872, where they say MOUs generally are not enforceable. When you look into the computation law, it makes very clear memorandum of understanding also has a legal impact. And now there are different names which comes. Hub and spoke arrangements, they say they call. They are basically say cartel would require between all drivers on the price is being set. Price is being set in the sense called, I can tell you some of the examples to you. When the Ola came into existence, Ola provides for the new SIM card, first drive is free. And after second drive, you will get some coupons. And Uber also same. There is a Meru, Yellow Taxi, and Dot Cabs. There are so many other people in the industry of the transport, you can say. But these are all based upon one of the applications which provide by algorithms. It is basically which you can call as a programs. So therefore, there are the programs which has their computation, and automatically they want to remove some of the competitors in the market. However, the cities like in Bombay, they were unable to do it, the regular taxi cabs. Either in the Bombay or when you look into the Calcutta, always people will prefer the local communication because they're very experts of the local rather than keeping of the signal of the Google map. But that is restricted areas. But people say that when you use an application, you pay the money online, you give the 5-point score. So this is one of the things which we are all becoming a part of these hub and spoke arrangements, which is one of the very tough task before the regulatory bodies, how to determine the prices by the platform. Who is there to regulate the price and rate? So this is one of the question before the regulatory bodies as well as the judicial forums, unsettled area of the law. This I have already explained about the taxi and cab services, which is one of the digital product. And there is again another case, Spencer versus Travis Kalanick case. It does not manifest the price computations on antitrust jurisdictions. Now algorithms, I have taken one of the article which is talking about the digital economy, where they talk the case of hub and spoke agreements, and there is a lot of intervention of the e-commerce, and there is no regulations in today. Here, one of the gray areas, every one of us to work for the future development of the subject. There is the business, there is a necessity where we are all part of this economy, and there is no proper regulations. Still, the regulation is hard to identify, but technology is posing lot of computations. Technology is posing lot of innovations. That's what we call innovation gives a way and to start the business. That is what we call it as innovation can be funded through the softwares, like the startup companies. So innovation is promoted by the nature of the government policy, but innovation should not be disruptive innovation. The innovation should be a digital innovation. It should not be disruptive to the innovative world. Now, I just want to talk about this online credit cards. So without this, we cannot survive in this life. And here I want to make one thing. if you see this chip was not there almost 5 to 7 years back. 5 to 7 years back, the debit card, credit card only swiping. Now later they made it this transmitter chips. This is being produced by innovation, particularly Silicon Valley, all the hardware people. Okay, either you call about the telephone SIM cards or the credit card SIM card. These designs are also protected under the different IP legislations. Because that's why when you see the SIM cards, we always take the SIM cards. None of us will see what is the design of the SIM card. Either it's a BSNL or Airtel or whatever it may be. Who designs a particular SIM where it is protected under the different IP regimes, as well as comes into the competitive world. Now this chip is again comes to a password to you in mobile, then you again has to type it. Because in the Corona time, you cannot take more than 15,000 rupees from ATM without using the OTP comes to your mobile phone. Formerly, we used to go to the ATM, use your debit or credit card. You can immediately take by using the PIN number of the debit and credit card. But now, after putting the debit and credit card, a OTP comes to your mobile registered one. Still again, you have to enter the security reasons. So this is one of the, we can say, preventive step, not to commit a fraud. But unfortunately, the more and more technology is going on, more and more cyber crimes are increasing. And digital revolution, this I don't want to read it. So I will put it for you and they will circulate later part. But algorithm is one of the important tasks, which is going to change the market sectors. And they have the cartel behaviors, where we have the end-to-end, robo to robo, individual to individual, which develops these machine solutions. And the legal perspective, and they again says it is done by the software, not by the individuals, but it is being done by the computers programs. So this is actually talk going back my memories. Any one of you might have written TOEFL exam or IELTS exams, which happens online exam. How if I write a right answer, second question will come more tougher than the previous question. If I fail to write an answer to a question which comes to me, then the second question comes, which is very less tough question. So the software already inserted. So you are going for an online examination where mission has been feeded with a particular program. We have to respond to the program. We don't have a control over the program. The people who created the program, they have the company. Like for example, we have an artificial intelligence in Saudi Arabia. One of the robot got the citizenship. Now in the international sector, people are talking, robots must be given a citizenship. They are like any individual. If I am not wrong, subject to corrections, Saudi Arabia has granted to one robot for the citizenship. Yes, now let me talk about other issue. And this we have already discussed. B2P, B2C, we are all very much aware. Now technology-based telemedicines, every doctor is asking, don't come to my clinic. You consult on me mobile, you consult on me. And this is one of the best example for all of us. The general prescriptions are available on the web form. Even the government of India, state governments have given a prescriptions for Corona or COVID-19. Don't go to the hospitals. Keep some medicines with you. As a primary caution, the moment if you are found, start using these medicines for 3-4 days. So this and consult your doctors over a phone. Even the people are coming for the blood test to our homes, and report will come in the WhatsApp. On that, you can transfer to a doctor, and doctor, by looking about the report, he has given the prescriptions. or the same prescription you can send to the Net Medicines or Apollo Medicine, whatever the medical shop, there's a door delivery of the medicines. So this is what the new, whatever the name you can call, but we are all becoming in the part of this technology of telemedicines. Then this model I have already told you, where there is assess-based and application-based. Anyone who is really interested in the subject can look the Meru and Uber judgment, which is available. So you can have certain things. And now coming back to the legal part, that is about the Mareva injunctions or issues of private law and private international law. Because of the borderless societies, because of the technology-driven societies, there is a conjunction between public law and private law. Generally, public law, we say, states are parties to a public law. But whereas when you see the private law, now state can also be the one of the party to the private law. So now jurisprudence has been developing on the issues of the private law and public law. That is what we call it as international law, public international law, or private international law, or the conflict of law. Now there is a new emerging subjects on this, like, international trade law, international economic law. These are happening. Because just 2 days back, I was attending one of the seminar offered by NUS Singapore on the review of international law. One of the session was on international economic law. As a teacher, I taught the international economic law sitting in Aurangabad last year to the students of National Law School, Calcutta. It is one credit course. So there is a name or nomenclature changes because of the development of the subject. In sometimes they used to say transnational commercial law or international economic law, like that the name and culture is coming. But this is, everybody knows that there is a subject of private international law, which talks about the private law. In the private international law, it is not just confined to the personal laws or matrimonial disputes. It is also more confined to the commercial laws. There are two principles of private law. One is called Lex Mercatoria, Unidroit principles on law of the merchants. Second is UNCITRAL model law on e-commerce. We call this as a treaty law. Once we call it as a customary law when you talk about the private contracts. So this everyone has to keep in the mind when you are looking and providing a legal opinion, because now we have every software company, either you take Wipro, Cognizant, or you can talk about Infosys. There is a huge legal team which is working on these areas, starting from the WhatsApp and the Twitter. These are all international companies who are doing on electronic thing. Like if you have Amazon, you have the Flipkart, you have the Myntra, and there are so many other things, products are there. Now, this is again the, which I just now told, we are all dependent on the markets because we cannot run away. There is educational products. It is the need of the hour. The governments and the judiciary is interfering. What is the fate of the deprived people in the society? If a student wants to attend online educational product, where people are not afforded to have the 3 times meals, India is one of the ranks of malnutrition. We don't have a place to sit, but we are forcing, or we are asking the people to have an online education products. So one side you have the crippled economy, other side you are promoting technology. Medical we know, home delivery everybody knows. We have the big basket. We have every state with the different names. Even more has its own, and every state they have the different names are coming. Home delivery necessary products, and government is also giving from time to time what is called about what are the necessary products. Every one of us is aware with the recent pandemic. Before that, none of us are aware. Now they put a restrictions on the online platform. Only necessary products can be delivered. Other products cannot be delivered. OTT, I don't want to touch upon. Here there is a new emerging law which is coming up. What we call it as entertainment laws. They say it is a product of the what we can call IP, but it comes as the entertainment laws. Basically, some of you may have a doubt, sir, what includes in entertainment laws? Particularly broadcasting authority regulations, telecom regulatory authority regulations, either censor board has any role or not, and what about the control of the content of the series which are released by these platforms? So there is a gap between a regulatory body and the vacuum is their law. So some of the researchers have studies proposing there should be a subject called entertainment law, because it is now dominating more in the economy and more revenue is created by virtual visual audio modes. Even for example, I want to watch a TV serial which has already completed a year back. Now I can see 300 episodes are available. So 300 episodes of a particular serial, I can pay the money, I can use it. The previously, it was not there. Now all the TV serials of one language is being converted into the different languages. So South Indian serials are converted into the North Indian language, or North Indians are coming to the South Indian languages. This is a big economy which is putting a lot of threats to the a lot of questions to the markets. And this is one of the recent international marketing retail. The acquisition between Amazon and the Future Group, they want to come into retail marketing. There is a Delhi High Court judgment. Still debates are going on whether Government of India can allow, like the metro, like the best price, they can come into Indian markets where Amazon already a largest platform market, and they want to come as a retail product market to have the warehouses in India. So that dispute still going on, though the permission has given by CCI, but there is a case which is pending before the Delhi High Court. And another new important thing, virtual currencies. As we all know, we have a legislation that is called cryptocurrencies. And as per the Indian law, cryptocurrencies are not permitted, but there is a bill and digital currency which is issued by the RBI prohibits all private cryptocurrencies in India. And here I want to throw some lights in the digital economy. Sitting in India, if you purchase a cryptocurrency from the Mexico, some of the states of North America, where cryptocurrency is a legal tender, and later on you want to convert this money into the legal tender. And this generally we call it as under the PMLA Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, where a person does not disclose the original source of income from one state to another state while it is being moved, then it becomes as a legal one. Now what is the point is that sitting in Chennai or sitting in Aurangabad, if I purchase some of the cryptocurrency outside this jurisdiction, which is valid, if I go to that country tomorrow and convert my currency as the proper legal one and come back to my own country by taking that money, is there any regulation to stop? Again, here there is a question of how to regulate. In the light of this, or before 2021 and after 2017, there was one of the new legislation which has come by the Parliament that is called Fugitive Economic Offenders Act, where they say economic offenses, economic refugees, to bring back the people who left the country where they are unable to pay the bank loans, to bring them to India. That is the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. For all economic offenses, you can bring back to them India. There are a lot of people who are on the digital technology, taken a lot of money, facing the court proceedings outside the country, but they are not coming. I will give one example. The biggest scam on LOR. The LOR means or LOD. Yes, LOC. That's called the letter of credit. Letter of credit is one of the documents where the banks have given the loans. It is a case none other than the Nirva Modi case. Based upon the documentations, the loans were given. When they want to collect the money, the person is not in India and LORs are not actually tested properly. Now there is a huge dispute. What is right? What is wrong? So this is how you know the things will happen in this digital era, how the money is being given as a letter of credit. And generally we used to read this letter of credit in the international trade law. Letter of credit is a document where the lenders will lend the money by keeping this document as the what is called securities. So you have the cryptocurrency, it becomes a digitally denominated, and they also talks about the foreign digital currency. So now it is being as a legal tender in a foreign jurisdiction. This is what I want to make a point to all of us. Though that cannot be officially valid currency in India, if my friend has given me $1,000, I can go to the money exchanger. I can ask the money exchanger kindly give me the money. In the similar way, if somebody has a digital currency or cryptocurrency, though it is not a legal tender in India, there is no law which prohibits that I should not have this currency, because in future I will go to a jurisdiction or a country where it is legally valid, then there I will convert my money and come back to the, or I will go to any of the countries. So therefore, because we have one of the case law, it was on the what is called Panama Papers. The great lawyer of India on corporate law, I don't want to take the name. It was there in the visual media on the YouTube channels. When the question came about the Panama companies, Panama Papers, the investors are from India. They established a company in Panama. From Panama, the money came to Netherlands. From Netherlands, it came to Mauritius. From Mauritius, it came to India. The investors who started this Panama companies, they are the taxpayers of the India. And the person who incorporated a company in Panama, he said, it is my money. I have paid the tax. Therefore, I have a right to invest anywhere in the world. You can see the Panama is a small island country between North and South America. Panama is basically comes for the tax evasion, tax avoidance. The moment when you invest in Panama, then comes to Netherlands, then comes to Mauritius, from Mauritius to some other countries. This is how the investment strategies are being held. Because we have one of the concepts in the investment circles that is called the FIIs, Foreign Institutional Investors. And we have the different names on the international economic law. So this is also one of the new emerging areas of the legal education where we require a lot of research to be part of this subject. We have to develop this subject. We should be part of the think tank. We should have the discussions and deliberations to contribute for the, what are the technology driven complications or technology driven challenges to the legal community. Our legal community don't take it as a legal community. Legal community is the fundamental basis of any society. So what the responsibilities comes on us, because even till today, though we have the Negotiable Instrument Act, how the promissory note should be, but promissory note has been developed by the customary practices of writings. So therefore, there is a need how we have to evolve the clauses in agreement, how to make the law into the practice. That is one of the challenge before all of us, and every one of us should take this lead for the future development of the legal literature, particularly in the academia. As a legal researchers, we all require, we have a primary obligation to contribute to the subject by virtue of our writings, by virtue of our suggestions to the regulatory bodies. We should be part of the law making process. Now, this just I have told you where the innovation is coming. And startup, see how much economy is there in the digital markets. So traditional market to the digital markets, now the economy is changing huge. As I told you, here is 18th March. Starting of the lectures I told, for 15 lakh rupees from 11 June, no need to pay single rupee. In one app, you can start your business called startup. Startup basically comes innovations, venture capital funds. Then you are having, and some of the people who are new to the corporate law, I will simply explain why this startup came into existence. Some of you might have visited to the IIT Chennai or any big IITs. They don't use the telephones when they conduct a big programs. Everyone will have the Tata walkies, which are created by themselves. There is no money to spend on the telephone bills. If you have an idea, that idea is going to pitch, then you can pitch your idea. You can take the capital up to 25 crores through private equity. Here I want to ask all the readers, where the government of India, by virtue through the legislations, created certain new terminologies in law that is called social welfare. For the purpose of the social welfare, removing of the social inequalities, you can start a company under Section 8 and you can raise the capital under the venture capital rules up to 25 crores. I am not talking on the other aspects called CSR. Try to have the difference between CSR and startups. Startups are not the part of always CSR. If we have the legal startups, Government of India is giving crores of rupees for incubation centers. I take this platform and the forum. Kindly visit to the MSME website and MHRD website, where the Government of India is asking law universities and law colleges for the establishment of legal incubations or legal innovative ideas. Formerly we used to different way. Now law has become as a different mechanisms. So if you have an idea, the idea need to be funded. When it need to be funded, we need a security. In the startup business, the angel investors, without taking the security, the idea can be funded. That is what we call angel investors. And here there is one of the important thing is called private equity, private debt equity. That means you don't inform to anybody else. Through privately placed people, you can raise your capital, and after a year, you can inform to the regulatory body, yes, I have raised this much of the capital. This is the advantage of ease of doing our business under 2020 policy. So as we have already started certain what call as the Google startup camps in the national law schools. Some of the national law schools have the incubation centers. So they are asking you create your own idea. Don't restrict yourself to the what we can call about the innovation. Innovation is something where you can have sustainability. And every product has a life. because majority of are not aware 20 years back what is meant by the website business or going to the websites. Now we cannot say no. We are all part of this technology. So startups have given one thing, and it has been introduced as a subject mostly in IIMs, IITs, and the premier law schools. Maybe this can be part of the course curriculum for the future as the part of the Madras Law College. So we should have to be innovation on the course, and we should do something for the next coming generations. Now, what are some of the findings? Now I just put it the various industries and monitoring approach, proper outreach programs and advocacy has to be done. This is one of the findings of my research, which I have done. Here I have also submitted as a part of the NICE group. We are working for more than a year. Still we are working. A lot of people are working on this area because it is not somebody's own property. Everyone has to think and work. What are the legal challenges faced before the regulatory bodies? How the government is going to face the challenges? What should be the lawmaking process? That is also being done. Now, when you see here, this is a recent controversy about the WhatsApp policy. So they said that you have to stop the data sharing, and sometimes they use the money, sometimes you need not to pay the money, but still some clarity need to become by the Delhi High Court and some other high courts. And we have a competitor to the WhatsApp, Instagram, and etc. and all. Imagine our life without WhatsApp, what will happen? Without WhatsApp, we cannot live. So it becomes as a daily product. So we are all part of the WhatsApps. So we call WhatsApp call because when there is no signal by using of internet data. So this is one of the issue which is there in the presently contemporary. And this just I want to put it here. I think yesterday, there is a case yesterday, 2 days back. I saw today morning in Bar and Bench. The case has filed before the Madras High Court on the digital media ethics 2021. So this is the latest development of the 3 days back, where the Madras High Court is going to interpret what are these digital media ethics codes. So on the basis of the Twitter, the protection, they have given certain laws. So now there was a warrant and he got a bail. Then the proceedings are going very, what we can say, from the available data, which is available in Bar and Bench and judgments, what they says, the matter is still in the sub judice, but they have explained, they have given undertaking to the government of India, will cooperate with the government of India, please don't ban us. Up to this is very fine. What will happen to the data which we have already posted? We would be deleting from our side. Whether this data is not stored other side or not, I can say that by using of my mobile phone, my account, from my side, I have deleted everything. Deletion of a data from my side, whether it gives me any guarantee that other side data also being removed. This is one of the questions which comes transnational or international code of ethics. Because Twitter is not confined to one country. So Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp is connected to the global village, or you can say the globally connected. So these are the one of the things. So I thought, some of the issues for the last between the slide, just I am left with the 3 more minutes. We are in the digital economy and we are in the digital products, and digital innovation should not be disruption. And these are the sectors which are very important, where we are all a part of the system. And digital money, and now people are telling, please don't pray into the digital apps. Lots of people are committing the suicides where they have taken digital money through the loans application based business. There are studies, I think 20 apps have been banned by the government. The people who are being, because of the necessity of the money, who has taken a loan of 10,000 rupees and 5,000 rupees, you have to give your friend number. And when you fail to pay the money, these people used to call our relatives and friends. We are going to file a case and threat. And the government so stopped these apps, and the major scams happened in state of Andhra Pradesh, state of Telangana, state of West Bengal, and the state of Tamil Nadu. Because we have seen the people who are the middle class, middle and lower middle class, and now the definition of middle class also has been changed. But I can say every individual in the society, because money is very necessity for survival, but at the same time, a necessity cannot used as a misuse of an opportunity, because there are a lot of economy devastated for last 2 years. So when the economy is devastated, everybody wants some digital money. So you take an application, you will get some money to your account, you transfer it. When the default comes, there are threatening calls, people are unable to move it, then people have committed the suicides. So this is another pathetic situation what we are facing today in the digital world. Though we are so much connected in the digital world, and there is also digital, what we call divisions. Now last one I have put it in the dot. So if you say the first person, because we are the agrarian country, farmer is the one who is the very fundamental or very important person of the world. From farmer to the poor person and poor to the everyone, we are all connected with this, technology. So we don't have any other options. So we are in already. The only thing is that how to use the technology, how to use the products, and what can be the legal regime for the future generations. Because we have the two types of the laws. When the custom becomes a law, basically Hindu law and family law. When technology forces us, when technology necessitates us to draft the legislations, how technology can be helpful in drafting of the laws. Some of the terms which I have told, electronic trading and the electronic magnetic chip. If, for example, if anybody by chance reads the Indian Telegraphic Act, it talks about the spectrum, the 2G, 4G, or 5G, where the magnetic waves are kept in a particular frequency, where the technology talks about the law, where we talk under Article 39C of the Indian Constitution. Article 39B and 39C of the Indian Constitution says, we the people of India are the owners of the natural resources. But we should come to the public good. Whether really public good is happening or not, that's what we are. I also use the new terminology nowadays, what is called as crypto capitalism, crino capitalism. What you can say, the people of the Indian capitalists today are not by birth capitalist. They have used the public resources of the state. State is the custodian of those things, and it is a public trust, but and the beneficiaries we are not getting. That is the problem of the getting of the prices of the gas and the oil, etc. Because there are different agreements between the public governments and different private players. These are some of the thoughts which I came to me, one of the emerging areas of the legal education. So I thought I will put before the new or upcoming generations of the legal academia to take these things for their research. So with this, I'm stopping my what you can slide shares. Now this is the last slide. So I will stop my lecture here. It is almost 3 minutes exceeded. 12:15 I have stopped, as we have to going for the question and answer sessions.
Sir, thank you, sir. It's a really great insight. Thank you so much, sir. So we have we received so many questions, sir.
Thank
Let
you.
me- Indra.
Devi ma'am.
Yes, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are
Yes,
not.
madam.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Can I proceed with the question?
Yes, madam. Please.
Can India also consider giving citizenship to advanced robots like Tokyo was given by citizenship by Saudi Arabia? If so, how to evolve citizenship jurisprudence relating to robot?
A quick answer for this. As far as Indian law is concerned, we are giving to the natural person citizenship. We are in the process of comparing with other countries. It is in the nascent stage. Maybe the person who already asked a question, he can contribute to the knowledge of this area of study. So there are some scholars who are doing the PhDs because the missions also will work on a computer software. So the debate is going on. So the India is looking for other jurisdictions, how far the robots can be useful. There's a quick answer, madam. So next question, madam.
Yes, sir. Another question.
And your voice is so, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir, now?
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please highlight on the digital fraud, which is nowadays considered as a menace, which there have been more and more dependency on online transaction.
Yeah, I will give an answer. Fraud is the one of the common law principle. Okay, which is start from contract law, law of torts. As long as there is a people who are very ambitious, the businessman already wants to make business by committing of a fraud. And the people who are involving in a digital fraud, the people who are being prey to the digital fraud should take the proper preventions. Because what happens is that, I will give one example. Around 4 years back, one website was created in the name of NSC website. And almost all 3,500 crores. The business was happening in NSC website. One fine morning, website was disappeared. And people wants to know where this money has gone. Then when they started inquiry, the whole 3,500 crores have gone to China. The people who invested cannot come and say. The people who have taken money, they will not give it to us. So cyber frauds and digital fraud, both the sides should be very careful. Because that is why I can tell you right now, the fraud has been defined under the Companies Act 2013. Now it is a criminal punishment up to the period of 7 to 10 years. I am very thankful to the government of India. The first commercial court for these things were established in the Tamil Nadu, in the High Court premises only. The commercial courts were established to tackle these issues. But there is a difference between what is called digital court versus commercial wrongs. But the fraud has, if there is a fraud, the terminology of the fraud in commercial law, you can bring under the Companies Act, you can go for a prosecution, the punishment is 7 years. But the prevention is better than the entering into these type of transactions, madam. But here I want to tell one thing, we are all in the need of the money. And we should not be the part of the easy money scams. Like unorganized sectors, we have 3 S's. Satyam, Sahara, Sharada, all S, God names. Okay, S. Satyam, Sahara, Sharada. Very nice names, you know. But what had happened? Satyam's case, criminal breach of trust and fraud. There was no provision in company law. And Ramalinga Raju was punished under the IPC, not under the Companies Act. Sahara case, I am reading this case more than 11 years. Nothing happened. Then you have the Sarada scam. I don't know where that is. There is another scam, Peerless Agri Gold scam. In different states, it has a different name, madam. And if you go to the SEBI website, now they are taking an application who invested 7,000 rupees. What will happen to other people who invested? They said, we wait for further notification. For last 5 years, same notification of Justice Mudgal report is available on SEBI website in 14 languages. So what to do on this matter? So these are all some of the, very, very technical questions. As an individual, we should take care about our own proper care.
Thank you, sir. Another question from Dr. Paramjit Singh. Should cryptocurrencies be allowed to function like a currency? If it is technically sound, why RBI is resistant to do so?
So let me give a quick answer. Cryptocurrency is a matter of the policy. Some of the jurisdiction, they identify the source of the money. As far as India is concerned, it becomes a threat for the money laundering and unidentified accounts through the FIAs. They can come and target the economies. Recently, you might have seen when Adani members, something happened in the company, share market immediately has fallen down. Okay, there is no textbook which says how to make an investment. So therefore, as a policy matter, we have one regulatory agency which talks about this international monetary policy. As a student of international, I feel very happy that is called International Monetary Fund. Talks about the balance of payments of international sectors. So there the underlying asset is the gold and other products. Like we see in the stock market, MCX gold, MCX silver, Nifty 50. So the underlying asset comes. It is the policy matter. As a teacher, as an academician, so far whatever the policy of government says, yes, I will accept. I will give one answer to the person who asked me. Previously, there was an instrument called participatory notes. We used to call P notes. RBI allowed the P notes for some time, and RBI banned the P notes also other time. So every 3 months or 6 months, as a teacher of corporate law or security law, we have to see that before going to a class, whether is there any notification by regulatory body stating that they became as a today allowed. Because foreign institutional investors, they don't disclose the source of income. It is allowed under the FDI policy. Up to the 1,000 crore rupees, you don't require any permission. That is the best case where the South Indians are facing a problem. Aircel versus Maxis case. I don't want to remove the names, political party names. Aircel versus Maxis case, it is about the political parties are involved. FDI came to in India, they didn't disclose. The matter is still disputed. So cryptocurrency, as a teacher, I cannot say. It is a policy. If tomorrow government changes the policy, people can make an investment. But there is 5% of Indians who are having cryptocurrency in their pockets. They are not revealing. I have 2 students with me. He has a cryptocurrency in his pocket. He said, sir, I will go to Saudi Arabia and I will spend my money. Who will stop them? That is also there.
Thank you, sir. Due to time constraints, I will stop with this question. The last question, sir. What are the regulations of RBI and the NPCI on Google Pay, Paytm, and other online digital payments systems?
Online payments regulation of RBI. RBI generally gives general guidelines. There is no control by RBIs on these application-based models. Now RBI has come with another one is called BHIM application, BHIM, BHIM applications. 3-4 years back, we are all very much acquainted with the Paytm, and that has been slowly reduced. Now we have the Google Pay. Now we have the Phone Pay, Airtel Money. Everything is using the QR code. So therefore, you cannot tap the QR code. So RBI will facilitate. It is not having a quasi-judicial body to regulate. So when there is a dispute, then we have to go and file a case on the regulatory bodies. I am giving my answer. One is on the policies of the RBI. introduction of the application base, because the bank money will only go or credit card money will go. So you have an intermediary people who are regulating. And another lacuna which we can see in RBI, when RBI was enacted in 1935, it was only temporary purpose. In 2011, there was a one bill and later it became a code, Financial Sector Reforms. That is what we call IFC, Indian Financial Code. It is available, everybody can read. IFC code has having the 650 sections where they propose to remove the RBI also. What the point I want to explain here is that rule-based application of law, principle-based application of law. So now these regulatory bodies most of the time go by the rules. But now the regulatory bodies are coming to the principle-based of application. What is this principle-based of application? Fraud is the principle-based application of law. Because it is not a rule-based. Good faith is a principle-based. Non-absence of law does not give a right to do the wrongful thing. This is the new jurisprudence of the commercial laws. Simply, we cannot say that there is an absence of rule, there is no prohibition, therefore I can do whatever we want. From 2013 onwards, there is N. Narayanan's case, SEBI versus Pan Asian Advisors Limited cases, and Supreme Court said very vehemently, regulatory bodies should not sit by closing of their hands, stating that we don't have a written text of law. If the principle is the fraud, violation of the good faith, malified intention, and other things, like for example, the malice, violation of, there is one thing which I will ask all of the people who are present here. There is one term used in the law presently. Measuring of integrity gives for the violation and punishment. How integrity has to be measured when you give the punishment. So they brought all the principles which are there in the common law system or maybe in the civil law system now incorporated. So in that grounds, RBI can take an action or ask the particular banks to do this, principal violations that can be done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for patiently answering all the questions. It is such a mind-blowing session, sir. Almost you have touched all the core subjects like IP, contracts, negotiable instruments, company law, and artificial intelligence, particularly Competition Commission Act, everything, and you brought under one umbrella, sir. We are really enjoyed your session. Particularly, you've given a wider explanation on OTT platforms and digital markets and also digital media like Twitter and other social medias. Thank you for enlightened and enriched us on digital markets, platforms, and products in the light of COVID-19. Thank you for accepting our invitation to act as a resource person out of your busy schedule, sir. We are really enlightened with your knowledge, sir. It was really excellent and wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. It's a
Really
pleasure
very
coming
nice,
back.
very informative.
It's a pleasure coming back to Tamil Nadu virtually.
Yes,
madam.
yes. I can see that on your face, sir.
No. I learned how to speak in Tamil Nadu because I have a lot of indebted to those pillars of the Madras Law College, Madras University. So I feel myself proud to be part of this program. And personally, I thank you, madam, for inviting me and taking this part.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dear participants, kindly fill up your feedback form